On January 1st, we arrived at San Cristobal's airport. We expected eagerly to finally see the famous flora and fauna of the place where Charles Darwin made his epoch-making discoveries. This is the Montserrat that was our home for a week. As soon as we got to the harbor, the relaxing sea lion made us realize that this is a very special place. San Cristobal is a larger, inhabited island, and we soon started our explorations visiting the town of Puerto Bacarito Moreno and the tortoise breeding center. Here is a hard-to-photograph yellow warbler and the famous poison apple. These magnificent animals are endangered because their eggs and the young ones are eaten by predators introduced by humans in the last centuries. Rats, feral cats, ants are enemies of the eggs and the young tortoises, so their eggs are collected and the young ones protected until their shells are hard enough to provide protection against their enemies.
Those are really weird animals.
So here we can make a short stop. We can talk about these animals here. The most famous animals we have in the Galapagos Islands are these tortoises. The Galapagos Islands are called Galapagos Islands because of these guys. We call them Galapagos. For us, they are not tortoises, we call them Galapagos. Notice that this tortoise here, what you just saw is something really cool to see. You just notice how they can stretch their neck so long. And that's the reason why the shell has a really particular shape. It has like a saddleback shape. It's not so clear to see the saddleback because the conditions on this island are not the worst. As you can see, we have some vegetation around. The vegetation you see around us for us may seem all dried up. Actually, there are nutrients and moisture in this. All the vegetation you see everywhere is so dry, right? But of course, for the tortoise, it will be really hard. This terrain, it will be hard to survive. But that's the reason why these animals, they can resist a long time without food or water, almost maybe up to a year. No food, nor water, nothing for a year. And they can still survive. That's something extreme with these guys. You can see still the rings. You can see maybe a few here. So this tortoise here is hard to say. It's impossible to know the age, right? It could be maybe 70, 80, 90, 100. That's a disadvantage, you know, when you're a tortoise. You have a really big defense. This whole shell will be a defense against predators, but of course it's going to be really hard to move around. I don't know if when you walk with Adrian, he told you that we have, and we still have, many problems to solve in the Galapagos. Mostly animals we have here, introduced animals we have here. So in the wild we still have goats, for example, rats, for example, great tropical fire ants, feral cats, feral pigs. So it will be really hard for the females laying eggs in the wild for those babies to survive.
Like pebbles.
The ones marked red are ready to introduce into the wild.
By accident, because this is a place again in the wild. The place looks like this because we have other places where we have these huge lava flows. The terrain looks really different, even more harsh than this place, and we could have a We have here, we will see it every single day because it's one of the most colorful crabs we have in the world. It's called the Sally livefoot crab. Because if you see, well, in this trip you will see how blue-footed boobies, they are totally independent. They don't need no one. They can fish by themselves.
Frigate birds and sea lions awaited our arrival on Isla Lobos.
Right? So, these sound, they're made to. And you have all the newborns here. We have baby sea lions, we have juveniles. One thing, all right, after we disembark, please. Now it's a different species, so basically, the species here we don't know what they. That's something really cool that you just go back. Trying to go to the back, yeah? Go to the back.
Frigate birds are the only seabird family that have obvious significant differences in plumage between the sexes. The male magnificent frigate bird has entirely black plumage and possesses a bare patch of skin on the lower neck known as the gular sac. This sac can be inflated into a bright red balloon-like organ which is used to attract females. The blue-footed booby is a marine bird native to the Galapagos. It is easily recognizable by its distinctive bright blue feet. Males display their feet in an elaborate mating ritual by lifting them up and down before the female, resembling dancing. The female is slightly larger than the male and can measure up to 90 centimeters long, with a wingspan of up to 1.5 meters. The marine iguana is found only on the Galapagos Islands that has the ability to feed in the sea. They can dive over 9 meters into the water. It mainly lives on the rocky Galapagos shore to warm from the comparatively cold water. Their diet mainly consists of fish, which they obtain by diving and sometimes swimming underwater in search of prey. Lava lizards change color if they are threatened or if there is a temperature change. The blue-footed booby usually lays 1 to 3 eggs at a time. The species practices asynchronous hatching.
He doesn't like us.
So there you have, you see that behavior, what he's doing now? He's just making sure everyone sees around, all the iguanas around, that's his territory. The iguanas, as they move to different areas, next time you will see that they have red coloration, green, brown, beautiful. Now you can see that this iguana, of course, means that he arrested fast. Now he's waiting, or she's waiting for Papi and Mami. They have to come, they have to feed her. That will be their home for the next.
They sometimes hunt alone, but more usually in groups.
Why do you think it's made out of?
Plunge diving can be done from heights of 10 to 30 meters and even up to 100 meters. These birds hit the water around 100 km per hour and can go depths of 25 meters below the water surface. Their skulls contain special air sacs that protect the brain from the enormous pressure. These bright orange crabs can be seen on most Galapagos Islands. They can grow up to 20 centimeters and they often share their space with marine iguanas and sea lions. After the great excursion and snorkeling around Isla Lobos, we relaxed and enjoyed the sunset on board of the Montserrat.